could be only one podcast and may be the Prince of the Universe. Hi, folks. I'm Matt.
But can there be more than two hosts?
Oh.
Saturday morning Samaflange. I'm Benjamin.
No, look out. Well, last week we talked about The Flash. We forgot to mention, what we're going to talk about here for just a second is why it failed. It failed big time.
Did it fail big time?
Yes,
drastically.
Flopbuster.
Flopbuster.
It's the biggest flop in movie history.
Based on inflation.
Based on inflation, yes.
No way.
Yes, it did not make money.
I had no idea.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions?
Estimated 400.
Worse than Green Lantern.
Yes, worse than any other.
I had no idea about this. This crossover universe you guys have going here is amazing. It's all full of all kinds of logical facts.
This is what happens when you do real things.
Thank the Flash for this.
Benjamin does real things in his life, and he doesn't watch 18 different YouTube videos.
It's so wild. Mikey owns Saturday Morning Samaflange in this universe now.
That's true. It's weird how he does that.
And he's doing the podcast with your sister, Kim. It's just weird.
I know. It's unfortunate.
So... Anyway, why did it fail? I think Ezra Miller had to be part of that.
It came out 3 years too late.
It came out 3 years too late.
How long was it in production?
It was in
because that alone,
5 years, I would say.
That alone,
5.
like that length of time and that amount of budget spent on crew and wardrobe and lighting and.
It's like Chinese democracy.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too much stuff had changed from when it first started. It turned into something else.
Yeah.
Plus, the wait's too long. I think people are just getting burned out. Plus, what I think is a big factor, too, that I don't hear anyone talking about, is that, like idiots, DC went ahead and announced, hey, guess what? All this is garbage.
All this is going to not count anymore.
It doesn't count anymore. We're rebooting the universe next year.
And now watch...
Blue Beetle's set to make, $17 million? Yikes.
Well, we talked about that, and I thought it didn't, but I don't know if I'm so desensitized from following the hobby of hard reboots and soft reboots so many times. This is not that big a deal to me.
What isn't?
Okay,
saying
what was
saying that
we thought this was going to matter, but it doesn't. And I don't know if it's from the Star Wars trauma or what, but it just goes, well, I wouldn't expect anything less.
But did they make that announcement before the movie or after?
No, they made this announcement at the first of the year. So Shazam was doomed.
Is that when they hired James Gunn and said
new
president?
We're rebooting everything.
And that was at the beginning of the year.
Yes,
okay.
Which is why Blue Beetle's going to flop.
So
which is
they
why
did
Aquaman's
say
gonna
that
flop.
before their tentpole summer movie came out.
It was the dumbest thing to do, I think.
Interesting. All right.
They could have said, "Hey, we're going to do new movies, but it's the universe is up in the air. We don't really know, maybe something like that."
So we're hitting the scatter shot on the fireworks at the end here, and we're just going to just go, and it's going to be noisy and loud. And
no one knows that reference now.
Just going to explode, and everything we've got in this universe.
Everything we've got, we're giving it all,
and just
So I think that may have attributed to some of it. You think it was mainly?
I think it was just so late.
So late coming. That's another big one. Yeah,
way too late.
No one cared anymore.
The consistency of the movie going through so many different hands had lost.
Yeah, this coming out 2 years after Justice League would have been just right for it. It would have made money. Honestly, because people were watching Justice League and it was garbage, but you bring out The Flash 2 years later, and I think this makes money.
Right.
Where was the cameo that the Flash sped around Superman, and Superman was able to keep up with him? And
that was Justice League.
That was Justice League when Superman was bad, or
he kind of looks at him.
Yeah, and he looks at him sideways.
That was when he's bad for no reason, when he comes back to life, and then he turns good with
that
no
was
reason.
The best part of that movie was when the Flash tried to run around. And Superman was like, "Oh no,
I see you."
Yeah. That was brilliant. But yes, so maybe if it had been closer to that one moment, then. But that's the only part of that movie I remember is Superman being no, you didn't.
So what about superhero fatigue? Do you think this is a thing? Even though Guardians of the Galaxy made tons of money, that's the
Guardians 3 did.
Guardians 3 made tons of money.
Still haven't seen Guardians 3.
Guardians 3 is fun. It's fun.
Okay,
but that kind of poked a hole in the theory that there's superhero fatigue. Well, then why didn't they go see? Now you could say, well, that was the last of the old guard, right? The old, they're still part of that old Avengers universe. That's the old original. Well,
they've got a better built-in audience of loyalty with Guardians.
Yeah,
because there was so much surprise from 1 being so good, 2 was really good.
I enjoyed 2,
and then they've been scattered through all the other MCU movies and have retained their characteristics or whatever you want to say.
Sure.
So it's easy for 3 to do well, but DC is so
they don't have a leg to stand on.
It's
really.
it's like, look at these diamonds we've got. Oh, who dropped them?
Yeah.
Like, I don't see
for
them
real,
anymore.
The two biggest superheroes in the world are Superman and Batman. By far.
I don't agree.
Wow.
Not at all.
Spider-Man, you think it's
Spider-Man and Batman.
Wow. It's debatable
Global.
because Superman has been out of the spotlight since the 70s, like 80s at least.
Look how big Spider-Man is.
Yeah, Spider-Man's
in, like,
huge.
Japan and stuff. Huge.
Like, my favorite superhero is still Superman, but that's because of the 1980s movies and the comics that I've read. But I think Wes has a point when it comes to movies, is that Spider-Man has got to be...
Spider-Man is the most selling merchandise, so yeah. There you go.
He's ginormous.
He's
big in Japan and everywhere else.
If he read it on the internet, it's got to be true.
Truth.
Well, I mean, yeah, just looking at which superheroes earn the most.
Getting back to Guardians, and then we had just mentioned James Gunn. He was director of Guardians 3, or is he not doing Guardians anymore? And he did the first one, right?
He did all of them.
Did he do all 3?
He did all of them.
Okay, because I didn't like the second Guardians. I've forgotten what that one's about. But the first one was a gem and a precious delight, and it's still fun to watch today. I recently rewatched the first one, and I had just the blast of fun watching that. But so now he's been instilled as the president of all the DC verse reboot stuff. Is that correct?
Yeah, he got promoted up, and I'll be honest, I like his movies. I like the movies he did for DC. He did the new Suicide Squad, which I thought was fun. He did the
he did Peacemaker,
which I thought was hilarious. I thought it was just beyond good.
Then one of his first orders of business was to fire Superman. Right?
Yeah, and get a new Superman. Just reboot everything.
Are they
which
doing
I guess
a younger Superman? I think is the rumor.
I'm sure. Which is what you kind of have to do at this point if you want your own vision. I'm fine with that.
Sure.
And I'm fine to give his movies a shot. I'm fine because I've
even
enjoyed
after all the
made.
garbage that
well,
you just said,
he didn't attribute to that garbage. His
no, that's
movies,
what I'm saying. But like DC is just absolute the bottom dregs of society to you. Like you hate
movie wise,
you hate the DC movies.
Yes,
Hated.
Yes,
and
but I'm a DC fan.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, DC
that's
comic
true.
fan.
But you are willing to totally give Gunn another shot. Okay.
Because his Guardians of the Galaxy movies are good. The Suicide Squad movie he did was good. The Peacemaker thing.
Okay.
I don't know if he's touched anything else, but superhero wise,
he's got way more hits than he's got misses.
Yeah, he's got more hits than misses.
And his hits are
it's hard
major.
to like. Who's the guy that everyone likes? Snyder. Boy, that guy is awful.
Zack Snyder.
He's terrible. He had one good movie. It was Dawn of the Dead. Oh wait, did he do 300? He had 2 good movies, 300 and Dawn of the Dead. He should have stopped when he was young.
I'm not going to say not. I won't go that far, but I'll say his DC movies have been.
They're awful, but fans
way
pander
too
to him. They
confusing.
love bring back the Snyder cut, bring back the Snyderverse.
No.
Snyder sucked.
No. I
That goes
just
back
said
to being objective and subjective.
I just
true.
talked about how I
That's
love
true.
Superman, and I was so disgusted by the Superman movies. I
Yeah,
was
Man of Steel was
absolutely
awful.
not. No, get him away from Superman. is
Many,
all I-
many years ago when that came out, we did a podcast on it. I was the one negative Nancy on it, and everyone's going, "Oh, what are you talking about? No, talking about a great movie."
No, I walked out
Yeah.
of that movie like they was. I was so good. I liked it. I ended my friendship with that person that day. It's
You
like
should-
you liked
You
that.
should have. You should have. It's rightfully so.
It was terrible.
I like when they asked Zod to come back for the Flash movie. He goes, "Guys, didn't I die in the last one?" Okay, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't
CG, bro.
It doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. Yes.
I'm the turtle and the
From
swamp
Neverending
of
Story.
Sadness.
Yes,
Yeah.
nicely done.
We
do not
care
where the oracle
That's exactly
is.
That's exactly what DC Universe is. It's the turtle and the misery of Sadness.
do not care.
We do not care. That's exactly who it is there.
So who's gonna be our little Atreyu screaming for the Orin? Then, like, how are we gonna fix this?
Okay, so Wes,
We need a luck dragon. Is what we
does
need.
DC?
They need a Falcor.
Boy, they need 1,000 Falcors to fix this because what they have is the nothing right now. Okay.
I think that whatever they originally thought they were going to do, they should cut it in half.
Yes, there you go. Cut it
The
in
time
half.
on all movies, the number of movies.
I just think that if you're going to say where we wanted to do 4 movies in
Yeah, do 2
6
quality
years,
movies in 6 years.
I would say we need to probably do 2.
Yeah.
and make them count.
Yeah, but
quality over quantity is
and
what you're
I don't
saying.
really think that.
Yeah, right.
And that whole DCU make everything touch. I think that if you I don't understand the importance of doing a Superman movie first. Why not do the Batman movie you've already established with Robert Pattinson that did extremely well, that made like $150 million after everything was said and done? Why not make that first and then do a hint of what's to come next?
True.
Why is that being pushed 5 years down the road where people are going to go, oh, I forgot he was even Batman?
So is it the executives at Warner Brothers, or who's DC? Is it Warner Brothers? Is that
It's
them?
Discovery now.
Discovery?
Yeah, Discovery, yeah.
Okay. So you think it might be the studio executives who are screwing everything up all these years?
Oh, well, the studio executives are definitely someone to blame because they feel that they know the best on how to tweak a movie to where it'd be perfect.
It's hard to understand how Marvel is so successful and had been. Now it's starting to plummet with this latest whatever phase. But how is it such a tale of two cities with these?
I think because you had one person running it,
One person running.
DC,
Marvel.
Marvel.
And he had creative say and everything. And
I think that they had probably had a bigger, like, if we can do this, this is where we're going to go. And if this does well, this is where we're going to go. And then if we catch the wave, brother, we're going to ride it out.
Okay.
And I think DC's like first in, they're like, we're going to catch the wave and we're going to ride that mother out. And they just keep
No,
the
they're
boy,
like-
they just eat it.
The wave already passed, and they're trying to keep up with that. To try to get, they're behind the wave, going, "Hey guys, wait up for us!"
Or that.
Or
I think
that.
that's how it felt the whole time. It's like, someone does an awesome move, and they try to imitate it, but it's not as good.
Yeah.
And they think, yeah, they're looking around for applause,
Well,
but they don't do anything as good as Marvel.
that's a good analogy, and one of the reasons I wanted to ask this is because you have experience being a director. I just finished my first play as a director, and I now know from firsthand experience that there are a million ways from Sunday, from any direction, that a play can go wrong. It can be the actors, it can be the production, it can be the place where you're doing it itself, it can be the people in charge of everything.
But in this case,
It could be the script,
The people in charge of the dinner theater are the ones critiquing your work and telling you to change this, change that,
Yeah.
and you're not getting your direction that you
Yeah.
want, which is why a lot of directors fall out and quit Lucasfilm and other
Oh,
studios and
because
stuff because their vision is being torn down and destroyed, and then they walk away.
Yeah.
Because they don't really have that much control. Very few people are Christopher Nolan or Martin Scorsese or Steven Spielberg, who their say is the final word.
Yeah.
There's not many people.
Complete
J.J. Abrams.
creative
And
control.
that complete creative control. Everyone else has a studio exec over their shoulder
Yes.
going, you need to do this. You need to punch this number. You need to meet this line.
Right.
Bob Iger brags in his autobiography that he likes to critique the Marvel movies before they come out.
What?
Just to give a few notes here. Do this, do that. And he was taking credit because they've all been quality work back in the day.
Oh, boy.
Even though something like Black Panther escaped and has the worst CGI and green screen I've ever seen. Well,
Yeah.
not ever now, because it seems like that's the standard for
'Cause now
everything.
you've seen The Flash.
But that was like the beginning of the end. I remember watching it going, it looked
Yeah.
like it felt like an unfinished movie. And now a lot of movies feel like that now. It feels like, wow, we kind of regressed in our CGI now.
Yeah.
Or we just use it so much, it's just,
I think
Well,
you've got too many with the streaming, and they're like,
Yes. Well, they had
much money
they
they
had
said
an
they're-
article about that recently, but they didn't stop. Marvel didn't slow down their movie schedule, and then they added like 18 full production TV shows, and didn't
Yeah.
increase their staff
And they
for
s-
the same amount
Yeah.
of production that they were doing, and so they felt like they're kind of apologizing for the quality lately because they felt like it was watered down a bit, and that was somebody at the top saying this.
But you look-
There was somebody during a board meeting. It might have been the head honcho trying to apologize to shareholders, saying, "Sorry, we pushed it a little too hard with the movie schedule and the TV show schedule, and so we need to correct for that."
Well, the other thing is, though, I agree in quality over quantity, and I agree with that too. But if you're gonna call your shot, make sure you meet your goal. Make sure you meet your own deadline.
That's true.
Because you threw this out there just to get all the hype, and then what happened? 3 years go by, and still Loki season 2 isn't around like you promised us.
Right.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that fans are usually just going to get, okay, you know what? The hype's over. Yeah, you're going to do it someday, but I'm done. And they walk away like The Flash. We're going to bring this out in 2020,
I don't think you
it
can
just-
do things the way you used to because of the way people consume media.
And I don't think they should do it that way. I'm just saying that when you call your shots like that, you better follow through
I
now.
agree.
You
I agree.
need to follow your schedule. And
Well-
I also agree it should just be a few and not a scatter shot like you
That's
were saying.
where this thought came from, is how do you convince Hollywood executives, Jerry Maguire style, we need quality over quantity? That's the whole premise of Jerry Maguire. He was like, fewer clients, less money, more quality
Okay,
attention.
From what I understand, James Gunn's been handed the keys, right? Like, he's not going to be nitpicked, is he? I don't know. I thought
I mean,
that
that seems to be what they're saying.
it sounded like he's getting the Kevin
But-
Feige treatment. Okay, go ahead.
Never say never.
No, never say never.
Because
No.
when P&Ls come in,
Yeah, there's
that
hundreds
will
of millions of
always-
dollars on the table.
especially with this
Hundreds
merger.
of
That's such the
millions.
thing. Like, how much of this is going to just get chopped away? Like, what is DC? What is DC in 2025? What is like?
would like it to be
basically
one
that's when these
successful
movies are going to
story.
be out at 2025. Best case scenario with everything else going on.
Well, with the writers and
Oh, the
actors
writer and actor
strike,
strike
How
happened.
can you-
2025 is, believe it or not, that's a hard goal to make. The longer this strike goes,
So what's
'Cause it takes
that's my point.
roughly
What's
2
it worth
years.
then when they go back to the table and they go, we had $400 million for this. We're probably going to try to do it on 3.
It's a good point. This entire conversation may be moot after the writer strike is over.
but I think you can get the right guys who know how to make the right movie and spend money wisely. Has anyone watched The Boys on Amazon Prime? Okay, The
Too
Boys.
violent for me.
It is very violent,
Very.
but the thing is though, The Boys spend their money wisely. The production crew, because they don't have to. They show some superhero fights here and there, but it doesn't look like, oh, we sandbagged a few episodes so we could make it,
Like Star Trek.
pay for this pay for this big scene at
Right,
the end.
right.
No, they know exactly when to make it. I believe we've talked about this, but,
Yeah, but I
there's a
think-
scene where Homelander is flying. We see him just kind of take off, but you don't see him fly. And then you see his feet lowering down on top of a billboard. Then the shot's him on the billboard.
Yeah,
And I was
which
like, that's
you and I
smart,
could
'cause
make that movie in the
all
backyard.
it is probably him on the swing just being lowered
Yeah.
down. And it tricks your mind thinking, oh, we just saw him
all
fly.
you
on the
need.
billboard.
Boys is more of a shoot and of looking at what life as a superhero is rather
No,
than.
I agree,
So
but
it's hard to do it that way.
But it looks like it's top production, even though they're doing things with like a quarter of the budget that these movies are coming out with, where they're filming their whole season, and it doesn't look cheap. I mean, look at She-Hulk.
Well,
And then
I
compare
agree.
it
I
to
think that
Boy-
they
and
say
it's-
they've got a budget of something. They're going to go, well, let's use all of it right here,
Of course.
Yeah.
right off the jump, and then they're like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Now we got to do a boring scene where
We
we're
got
just sitting
some
in one
erasers.
room.
And that's what I mean. There has to be. That's another angle where it could go wrong is with the directors, because there's a whole divide between directors. Like one director will say they will read a script and they'll say, okay,
Right.
I'm going to need 18 cameras and 6 things for coverage. 6 crews to make this
What
work.
we're having
and
with
then another
Mission
director
Impossible.
comes in and they're like, I need 4 cameras and
Yeah.
3 people to do this, and we're good.
As
And-
long as they're practical about it. I mean, I don't think you should be cutting corners. I'm not saying you cut
No,
corners where you
but
make
I'm talking
movies,
about what you're
but
talking
you need
about.
to be practical.
With
No, I agree.
Putting
with
the
you.
footsteps on the landing, just elegant camera tricks and good storytelling. It doesn't all have to be CG'd, guys.
Yeah.
Honestly, the more CG there is in a movie, the less I'm going to like it. Because I don't want to pay to watch cartoons. Like, I'm not interested. I want to see actors act.
And kind of going back to the actors writer strike, I can't remember who it was bragging they have AI. They've brought in more. Was it Netflix? I don't know, but AI scripts and scriptwriters and stuff like that, is that going to be a thing?
I don't think it's possible. No.
I don't think AI can.
I think that's why they're on strike is because they know that
they're
if-
afraid it's going to take over.
they know they've got to kill the whole industry.
Skynet.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I agree.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah. Good. So I think that's they're saying we've got to go down with the ship. If we do not collectively go down as production and talent, if we do not stand and let this burn around us, where will we be in 5 years? We're going to be unemployed because the technology is ready to go.
Right. We're about to become obsolete.
Would you agree with that?
No.
No.
No. I don't think it's possible for AI to rewrite a good story that hits the way a human does. And I work in technology industry, and I just don't think it's possible to write a story like that.
But
I
like
will-
there's like there's stuff on like YouTube. There's a thing where they took a Velvet Revolver song and put Axl's vocals somehow over
Brilliant.
Scott White, and it just sounds like a Guns N' Roses demo. So I think that there is.
It feels cheap.
I agree.
Well,
but
they didn't come up with
but
the
does
music
it-
though. They just overlaid.
But doesn't it already feel cheap? That's what we've talked about. Law of diminishing
Oh, no,
returns,
well, right now-
She-Hulk, and all this stuff.
That's
you
a good
go,
point.
No.
So if this industry as a whole universally lowers its standard, sure, AI might be able to do it.
And
Maybe
right
that's
now-
the problem.
And right now, I believe they have lowered their standard. I don't feel sorry for the writers or the actors because you know what? You gave us shoddy work for the past couple of years.
that's true.
There are some writers who I think deserve it. They're smart. Whoever wrote Spider-Man, the third movie, give him a job. Whoever wrote anything for Marvel in the past 5 years, let them go hungry. Don't feed them. They're terrible. Seriously, a lot of this boils down to just crappy writing, which AI could do just as good a job.
Maybe. It also makes me wonder how much COVID affected it because this past few years has been the result of what came out of COVID. And
COVID has affected everything.
I mean, this
Yeah.
is, if you said, if a producer came to you and said, here's $500 million, here's the movie we're starting today, then your movie wouldn't be made until 2025, 2026,
True.
something like that. Assuming writer's strike and everything, let's say that gets solved on the same day and everything's fine. Your production is going to last about 2 years, most likely,
Yeah.
from start to finish. Your shooting
Yeah,
time
just
might not
editing.
last that long,
But
the
editing,
editing, the sound,
post-production,
everything,
that's what takes the longest,
advertising,
yeah.
everything else, the setup and the arrangements,
Yes.
all that. So
Merchandising agreements.
everything that we've been hating on for the past 2-3 years was made when the world was in shambles. And so I think that this might be a blowback from like a ripple effect of the world being in a different place, especially for entertainment. And we were so desperate for it and needed it. But I really hope that the standard, the rising tide raises all boats kind of thing, you know, like now that we're past that kind of life, hopefully, knock on wood, don't have to go but back to it, that it will raise. And that's what I'm talking about with Marvel guy saying, yeah, he admitted in a conference call that it's been kind of crap lately, but we'll be better at that. But I mean, the fact that he admitted it and didn't just say, no, it's still really good, trust me, you know. And,
Well, I think, don't you feel like if you're in there with your stockholders and you've got all of your numbers hard, real, we're talking real
P&L
money,
sheets.
you can't go, you can only shine up a turd so much before somebody goes, hey,
That's a good point.
come on now.
You got to know your audience.
Right.
So that's a very good point.
I agree with what you're saying, but we're losing money. So
Yeah,
And apparently
I think
with
the
the
veil has
Flash-
dropped on that.
Up
though.
with
I
the
think
Flash,
everyone
a
is.
huge amount of money now, and something's
Yeah.
got to go with that.
Yeah. I mean, Michael Keaton did a spaghetti example here that we could talk about. Okay. But the thing is, though, I don't even know how long the strike's going to happen. But the thing is, though, there's a part of me that says, you know what? Let it burn. Let it burn, because to teach him a lesson, and hopefully, I don't know what the general public gets interested in after, but your what's
God.
it? Your
We might be
attention span.
We might be
these
stuck
days,
on TikTok for the rest of the next 3-4 years.
I hate TikTok, but everyone watches TikTok. But the thing is, what I'm saying is, where our attention span isn't what it used to be. So
Mine
the
is.
masses, well, we're Gen X, but you know what I mean. The masses, they like the TikTok videos. They like this. They don't need to have the summer tent pole anymore. They have
true.
other things they can. They don't need to have the one show they can binge. They've got a YouTube channel
That's a good point.
of a kid with tons of money
And
blowing up trains every week
Yes,
or
I know.
pranking people every week that they want to see.
Speaking of crossover episodes, I was watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and they had a crossover episode with Lower Decks, which is the animated Star Trek
Oh,
show that's
wow.
on right now. So the people from Lower Decks got pulled in through a time portal and turned into real life. Just so happens that the characters, the two main characters of Lower Decks, look just like the voice actors who play them. So they got the two voice actors to come on and be a part of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And they talked about, the two kids were talking about it as Spock and Kirk and everybody else and Pike are all having
Yeah.
their conversation. the two kids turn to each other and said, "Have you noticed how everybody talks really slow in this timeline?" Yeah, and it's like, what's going on with that? Because they can't keep a attention span. Like they were making a joke about being a younger, faster, quicker, fast-paced,
like their audience and like their show is,
like their TikTok and their show. Their show is joke
Yeah.
on Lower Decks, and then Strange New Worlds is much more the Star Trek that we grew up with and that I'm used to, and it's a better production in general. I'm still, by the way, loving Strange New Worlds. I think it's phenomenal. It keeps getting better every episode. Like, absolutely phenomenal. And especially you as a TOS fan, you have to watch this show.
Okay.
Just saying. It's got to happen. When
We'll
it's
see. You didn't make me watch Picard 3.
Nah.
But that's not a bad thing. All right.
So
Anyway, though, okay, so when and how does the writers...
the strike
SAG,
end?
ACT, or whatever thing strike end? When does it end? Does it keep going?
Well, I think we talked about that already. I think it's not going to end until fourth quarter results, which will be January.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a money a P&L sheet, and some stockholder is going to have to. It's going to come down to some really rich people are going to have to say, "I'm running out of money."
Okay, and I'm hoping that they both get stubborn and hold out even longer, so that the movie theaters are going, "What do we do?" And then they start bringing back those old movies in theaters that I love so much.
Give me the Flashback Thursdays, man.
I want the flashback movies to come back.
That was so great.
That
was the best part of COVID.
I mean, we got to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. I got to see Return of the Jedi in theaters this year.
We got to see Jaws recently.
Jaws. We got to see
Poltergeist, I think, and then
Poltergeist. Groundhog's Day.
Groundhog Day.
On Groundhog Day, and that's fun. That's fun for me to go to the movies when it's a movie that I've seen before, but I enjoy. We got to see Big Lebowski this year, which was so much fun. It checked a big box because I didn't get to see it when it originally came out, and I love that movie.
Was it just our age group that saw it, and do the producers care that we saw it?
Yes and no.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't care about anyone else. I care about myself, and I'm very selfish. I want to see that in big theater. Seriously, I got to see Ferris Bueller's one of my favorite movies of all time. I never got to see it in theaters when I was a kid. And when it came out a couple of years ago, I was like, that is a done deal. Megan got to see it for the first time in theaters. I was jealous.
Yeah. Return of the Jedi was the first movie I ever saw as a kid. And I got to see that.
Well, there was no way I could make it because it was playing in Shreveport. But that Sunday night, I was joking with my nephew because he says, "What are you doing tonight?" So I'm going to go to Shreveport, drive out and watch Return of the Jedi, then drive back in at 2 a.m, go to work, wake up at 6 and go right to work.
You talked about this on one of the shows.
Yeah, and he said he was going to go with me. I said, "You're going with." Done. And so we did, and I mean, it was a. I mean, I drank a record of energy drinks there, but I was like, woo, but I had to break open the case there just to stay awake. But it was, worth it at the end. But I was worn out, dog tired. But the thing is, though, I was happy to see that kind of stuff in theaters. I'm happy to see the old movies. I don't know, for some reason, that's the theatric experience for me. Whereas
everything new, you're happy to wait for Netflix or streaming to do it?
No, because I had to go see Mission Impossible, and I really enjoyed that movie. Okay. And there's maybe one other movie I will go see. I can't remember what it is now, but I told Megan, I said, that's one I'd watch in theaters. To be fair, I can't think of... I don't even know what the name of the movie is, so it must not have been that important. Are there any movies in theaters you want to see that are coming out this year?
Maybe there just needs to be a delineation of the way movies are made. If this is designed for the small screen, or is this designed for the big screen? And they advertise it that way. Like, they can't just blanket carte blanche say this movie's only meant to be seen on the big screen because that's how we make money.
Yeah, whatever.
Like, it's the most ridiculous advertisement.
That's not going to get me to the theater.
No.
What's going to get me to the theater is it interesting to me? Oppenheimer and Barbie and Barbieheimer, that doesn't interest me. None of those movies interest
like
me.
A Godzilla movie, you need to see that in a movie theater.
Yeah,
if you're a Godzilla fan, you probably want to see that in a theater. Like a destruction movie or a disaster movie, that's probably a theater movie. Something like that. What's the Megalodon 2 coming up with Jason's The Meg 2?
I'm going to have to watch it because
I want to see that in the movie theater.
He's on a jet ski with the samurai sword. And secondly, Megan loved the first one. So
that's a movie theater movie.
I guess it's going to be campy, but I'll
the idea.
I'll watch it.
Okay.
I think that I think it's good to have Barbie movies and things out there.
No, that's fine. I know those are for other people.
Yeah, I think I think you need to. That's what movies need to be again. They should
variety for everyone.
Right. That's the way it used to be when we were young.
That's a great point.
It doesn't have to just be
Everybody needs to see this. Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point. I should clarify. I don't think movies should only play just for me.
Right.
I just want to have one or two movies my way, and I totally agree. There
Yeah.
should be kiddie movies,
I
horror
don't know about
movies,
that.
whatever.
That's pushing it.
I think the biggest thing is the difference from taking a property like Marvel or DC, just because that's our properties we talk about, and going, how can we make a whole lot of this and fit it into all these different boxes, because it's proven to just completely not work.
Yeah.
It seems true. And then you have the standouts. Like Barbie has made money hand over fist, and no one expected that to happen. But it has skyrocketed past everything.
Every expectation, I agree.
So, I don't know. It's a complicated industry. I don't want to be a movie producer. I'll put it that way.
It's true.
Well, I don't think you need to appeal to everything to be a guy.
No, I agree with that too.
I think
No.
that's a lot of.
That's why there'll always be chick flicks. You know, there'll always be action movies, you know.
There needs to be juvenile delinquent comedies like there used to be when we
Yeah.
were growing up.
Juvenile delinquency.
Like, where's the next Superbad? Where are these
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
movies? Those you don't see those anymore.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. It's been a
It's
while.
like, oh, we're going to put that on Netflix.
Maybe that's on Flux. Yeah, that's true. That's true. What do
You
they
gotta- and then you
decide?
have
What
to go
goes on
find
streaming
it
and what
because
doesn't?
Somebody
Right.
you know who's also a juvenile delinquent in their 40s enjoys it.
Heath. All right, so there you go. All right, and then I guess that's it. Anything else to add?
What was the topic of this podcast?
I don't even remember. What's this podcast about? We'll see you next time on Princes of the Universe.
Flange.
So you take this bowl of spaghetti
And is this the post-credit scene?
and you dump
That
it
way-
all out.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
And what you have
Is Aquaman falling face first into a puddle of mud?
that, and I'm going to have to clean it up afterwards.